Mr. Mayor. I think we can start first with the well levels. I think we may need to have updates more often, because I think the last time we had an update, it rained.
But not long enough.
It did, I know we've looked at this graph a couple of times, and this is some historical data with regards to well levels and what we term the burner fields, which is out Old San Antonio Road. I think kind of self-explanatory, let me kind of tell you where it is. Obviously, these are years, we have data going back to 1994, and this is our current well level. One thing to keep in mind, look in this area here, this is before we put the canal wells online, and this was a pretty big driver to put the canal wells online, because we were in a mining situation where the wells were not able to rebound, especially 3 years right here. When we put the canal fields on, we gradually got back up to what we think are acceptable rebounds in that field. Unfortunately, this last year we were again not able to rebound to a degree like we would like to see. So we never went out of stage 4 water restrictions, and we're still currently in stage 4. What we'd like to see during some of these downturns is, if you look back through some of these years, you see these bounces up, which reflect rain events. We don't see any bounces up other than this bounce right here is a winter bounce, because things freeze, they go dormant, we don't use as much water, lawns, everything else in that area. So, ideally you'd like to see some bounces in here from rain, and we just haven't experienced that yet. The rains we have had this year are probably just saturating the ground. I think when we originally talked about this back in April, there was a 12-month period where we basically had 6 inches of rain. And that 6 inches didn't do anything for our recharge. So we're still experiencing the ill effects of that. The canal wells are similar. They have a little different graph. It's a little different area. The geology is a little different. You're by the river. They tend to rebound quickly. You can see we've already made our downturn there. We did, these wells kind of artificially rebound because of the river. But they are definitely starting their trend down, which is a little bit more. The trend down is obviously typical. It started a little bit earlier this year. And it's been delayed by some of the rain we've had. I think, this graph's probably a little bit more indicative of what we think the aquifer does. Paul Tarver and I have discussed, and one thing to keep in mind about maybe the difficulty in truly ascertaining how much water is in there is you can look at Lake Travis and you can see the water. This is below the ground. We don't know, what the confines are, how much it holds. It's somewhat of an unknown. So in reality, this is some of the best data we have to analyze the actual water there. So that being said, kind of as we did back in April, I don't know that we have the means to go out of stage 4 yet. Hopefully this thing turns around and bounces up, and we get 10 inches over this week, and we could go out of stage 4. We just haven't seen it. Paul and I really discussed why we didn't see a rebound after this first rain. It's rained about 8 inches in certain areas. We just don't. He thinks you don't see the real influx of water for about 7 months. That was something he said again.
Takes that long to percolate?
I don't know. I don't want to say we're guessing, but that's some of the things we've seen in the past. I think one thing that's interesting here is '07, this area here where we had the 50 inches of rain. You see, you skip almost a year and you never really come down to really '08. So you just keep going up. We had 50 inches of rain there. You can really see it in the canal fields is that this continued to infiltrate that over the whole year. You know, unfortunately, again, I think probably, in my opinion, one of the things we'd like to see would be these blips from rain events actually entering the aquifer. You know, as you go down, you get a rain event and you go up and then you come back down. You know, those types of things, we haven't seen them. It's been straight down, straight up. So I think we're still, you know, as of right now, in the same environment we were, you know, a month or 6 weeks ago.
Does a lot of that's dependent on where it rains too?
It does, and, you know, I don't know.
Where does it need to rain in Harbor and Mason?
Well, not
To
for
recharge
this,
us?
no, the Ellenberger's a pretty localized dolomite, and it's the structure we're in. And, you know, I discussed that with Paul pretty in depth when I was a little confused, I didn't see anything. And his feeling is it needs to rain on top of it. You know, it's a fairly highly fractured karst formation, and the recharge for it is pretty low.
So the problem is we haven't had any rain.
That's correct. You know, even though the top of the ground's wet or damp, if you will, in the past couple of months, it hasn't rained at all in the last 4 weeks.
Well, that's only 2 inches. Everything is hard.
It is. You know, when we dig for any type of utility, it's still pretty powder dry. So long and short is it hasn't rained enough to recharge. From there, does anyone have any questions about the water itself?
So you are not in any position right now to recommend going out of stage 4?
I would not recommend it, no.
Okay.
You know, I would like to as much as everyone else would. So some interesting things too, Paul and I discussed between '09, which was parts of '09 were very dry with last year is, when you look at our overall pumping numbers with rationing, the numbers are 11-year numbers were up significantly from '09. We had our strictest rationing in place. So, you know, one thing to consider, you know, fortunately we're having the rain right now, but if things don't improve significantly, we'll have to narrow that band of hours that we allow watering.
And you will make a recommendation to council when you deem that is
Yes, sir.
necessary?
I think, you know, hopefully we'll be able to, you know, see this graph not go straight down, and if it would feather out some, you know, we could continue as we are. I think that would be feasible. Hopefully we won't have to further restrict the out.
Okay.
Moving on to Austin Street Bridge. I think, one of the last times we discussed the bridge in its entirety, we received some analysis as far as some options on the bridge. 4 or 5 different analyses. And I don't know that we were